This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go. Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here on the Break the Bell Podcast.
Hello, beautiful bell breakers.
We're here.
We are here, and
It's
we're both alive.
We are alive. We are
Yes.
live. I think we're live and alive. Maybe we're not, because this could be a simulation.
That's true.
I mean, we've talked about
That's true.
that before. This could all just be an illusion. Maybe we're not alive. Maybe this
That's
is just
possible.
maybe this is just your subconscious of afterlife, and this is what you got stuck with. This is your
Man,
hell.
I would think we'd have more viewers at least.
This is your fucking hell. How's everybody doing? It is Monday night. As always, we are live. It is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, just like we are live every Monday night, as long as something doesn't change, which it usually doesn't on
It
Monday
usually
nights.
doesn't. Knock on wood.
That's our weekends. That
Yeah.
changes all the time,
Yeah.
but Monday nights not so much. We
Yeah.
we try to be consistent, at least with one of our
Right.
4 shows that are out there.
And after like a long Monday, it's kind of nice just to be able to sit down and
It really is.
shoot the shit.
My Monday was really long. I actually got off early today, but then I had to come write a show. But then I had
Right.
a consultation for another business venture that I'm doing. Like dead in the middle of that, my buddy was like, "Hey, can you do this video chat at 5?" It's like, yeah, I'm not writing a podcast or
Yeah, right.
anything, but cool, that works. But
Yeah.
we're here. That's all that matters.
Yes.
Yeah, this is like where we can just like throw it all out there and just hang, let it hang loose and hang low as hang to the left as we usually do.
Right.
Are you're right? You're righty.
I'm a righty.
I'm a lefty.
Okay.
So tonight we're going to talk about, speaking of hanging loose, we're going to talk about the world's most elite scumbag party,
Yes.
basically, where the richest of the world come together and discuss how to save the world that they broke.
Yes. Would you say it's like a collection of supervillains?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'd say
yes.
so, like
Okay,
a
okay.
supervillain convention. Yeah.
I like it.
But the problem is these supervillains, at least from what it would appear, they have no self-awareness. They don't
Right.
realize they're the actual supervillains
Yes.
because they're like, there's all these supervillains out there and they're destroying this planet. And we need to come up with a solution on how to save the planet.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're the fuckers
Yeah,
that did
right.
it. You're the ones that contribute to probably 99% of the air pollution. You're the ones that
Right.
contribute to 99% of the inequality in the world.
Yes.
And you're probably a bunch of rich white dudes. So even
Yeah.
like the gender gap, you contribute to the majority of that as
Yeah.
well. So all the things that you're here to discuss, it's you. It's you. You people should
Yes.
just be pointing fingers at each other and be like, it should be like fucking Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. It's like,
There you go.
I'm the fucking problem, not the people that we want to control, which all this is a big probably fuckfest orgy of the
Right.
nerds that can't get anywhere else,
Right.
and B, a way for them to say, how can we get together and how can we control the world population even more so we can become
Yeah.
even richer? That's what it all
Absolutely,
is.
yeah.
It's about them. It's not about well, in a way, it's about semi-equity because it's about making us all just smashing us down to be even more
Right.
poor while they take more of
Yeah.
our money from us.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Wouldn't it be great if we took all the lower class poor people and locked them up in little cities, and then we could take care of the wild and the animals, and we would be the ones that eat red meat.
Yeah, obviously,
And because we are responsible.
because we're the responsible ones that kill off the wild in
Yeah.
the first place. We're the ones that built these fucking cities in the
Right.
first place. Yeah, we're gonna get into all this stuff, but like one of the things I had seen was they're like, with more and more population moving into the cities, with that increasing to 80% by the year 2050 or what, it's like you're the ones putting them there.
Right,
You're
right.
the ones that want them there. The same people that come up with these forums are the same people that come up with like the Agenda 2030 that is wanting to push people into like the smart cities and but they're like, well, cities are like 90% of the pollution. It's like, well, stop putting more people there.
Right.
Like spread them out a little
Yeah.
bit. Let's spread the footprint out so it's not so concentrated.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know what's in their brains.
Yeah.
Apparently, obviously, they're smart because they're rich.
obviously.
So they're smarter than us.
Right.
So what do we know? So we're here having our own forum to discuss their Davos forum and how ridiculous it sounds to the layman. But again, we're stupid because we're poor.
Yes.
So
that makes sense.
So what do we know? But we're going to discuss it anyway.
That's right, because we're armchair quarterbacks.
Yes, we are. Some of the topics I want to discuss are such as like the climate change initiatives. There's like I said, the smart city initiatives. We've got the amount. Like I want to discuss like the amount it costs just for these people to go here.
Right.
The extracurricular activities they're involved in, all kinds of stuff. We're covering the full spread here. And I know we've talked about Davos before, probably last year about this time.
Yeah. It's always a good time, you know.
It is. It's like our own party here. It's like it's Davos 23. It's kind of like it's
it
like
kind of confirms
theory.
like all our conspiracy theories through the year. This is like the Super Bowl of all those in one.
It's weird though. This year it does seem, I mean, they're at least giving off the appearance that people are starting to turn on those people.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
I don't either.
Because people are stupid and the media is all over their jocks. But it does appear that people are starting to wake up and realize this is just a bunch of rich white dudes that are trying to determine how we should live our lives. Hopefully that is the case, but they'll find a way. They'll find a way to retain that control. It would be amazing to see this just unraveling at the seams.
That would
be. I mean, you know, these kinds of people, they're egotistical anyways. Can you imagine getting them in a room together and them being like, well, you actually need to cut down on your oil production. They're like, oh, you're looking at me. Do you see how much pollution you're putting out every time? And it's just like a big, like they stroke each other's ego, but their own ego. There's got to be a lot of
you think
arguments.
they like play like games of poker for the populations of countries?
Oh yeah,
like I will see you Malawi and I will raise you Nigeria.
Yes, absolutely. So before we get into that, we obviously have to mention, check us out all over the social medias. Share this far and wide. We are a podcast that likes to expose the bullshit that's going on. And this one in particular, there's a lot. This is like concentration, hyper concentration of bullshit that needs exposed and needs more exposure. If you haven't heard of the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset, the Green Agenda, the Build Back Better agendas, and the Davos, it's all lumped together. It's all the same thing. So if you haven't heard about that, we've talked about all these things extensively throughout the years in this podcast. So go back and check out some of those old episodes. And you'll learn a lot.
They're always a good time.
Yeah, we deep dive into a lot of this stuff. So check that out. Share us all over social media. Share us far and wide. You can find us at our social media handle at Break the Bell Pod. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I like to hang out on Twitter because it's fun to get people all worked up that aren't actually following you, because I like to troll. I'm a troll. So check us out if you like to troll with us, or watch our trollery. Come hang out on Twitter. We also have a Facebook forum if you're old and still like to hang out on Twitter on Facebook, like Bill. That's the Breaking the Bell forum. You can check it out, send a request to join, and as long as you look like a human and you're not a dickhead, we'll let you in.
Absolutely.
Minimal dickheadery.
Yeah, you're allowed a little bit.
Yeah, there's like a small standard of dickhead that we expect. Way. Yeah, absolutely. So you can find links to all our social medias and all the things that we do at our website, which is www.breakthebellpod.com. You can find links to our web store, which we have amazing t-shirts. One that applies so well to this this episode talking about Davos is the "I won't eat your bugs" shirt, because I'm pretty sure it was last year
Yes.
at the Davos forum where the whole, hey, people need to eat the bugs and less of the red meat.
Mhm.
That was kind of the big push last
Yeah.
year about this time. So check out that shirt, the "I won't eat your bugs" shirt. Also, the "We are not your pawn" shirt, that also applies well
It
in
does.
this show. Also, our logo shirts, our mugs, all kinds of stuff that you got options to, because we love you and we want to give you awesome shit so you can tell people that you're better than them by wearing our cool clothes. So check that out. You can find links, like I said, at breakthebellpod.com, or our web store is breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Check all that stuff out. Buy stuff, support us, and wear cool shit. So
Very nice.
yeah, that's all I got to say about that. We got anything else before we get right into this fun
I don't
festivity?
think so. I'm ready to dive in.
You want to jump right into Davos? The
Yes,
Davos
the Davos party.
the Davos Delusion is what I
Yes,
called it, because
yes.
that's all it is. We're going to get right into this intro video, and when we come back, that's what we're going to talk about. We'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What do you say?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What did you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, baby.
What did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. You're talking to me.
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
So we missed it. We didn't make the cut. We didn't
No.
get to go. We weren't invited.
Hopefully next year.
Hopefully next year we're
Yeah.
at that level. January 16th through the 20th was Davos 2023.
All right.
And it takes place on a nice remote ski lodge in Switzerland,
Very nice.
like away from the general populace. So us little peons can't like encroach on their territory.
Well, maybe next year, I'll have my pilot's license. I can fly us over there.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't want to crash into the ski mountain.
All right,
I mean,
you're a little picky.
so we've talked a little bit about this year. Seems to be the year where more and more countries are becoming more and more like populist, or I don't know, what's the other term?
Fascist?
Not well. That's what they're calling it, is fascist.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking
No,
for?
more like populist, but also like wanting to put their own country
Yeah,
first.
like protectionist
Yeah,
and things like that.
I don't
yeah.
want to use the term nationalist. because-
Nationalist, that's the word I was thinking
Okay,
of, though. But
okay.
yeah, but more and more are kind of going that direction, with like Italy hiring the female Hitler.
Right.
There
Yeah.
was
There's Poland.
Poland.
Was it Switzerland?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few. So
So-
Brazil just got rid of theirs.
Yeah.
So
Now I feel like the world elites are kind of taking notice the same
Yeah.
way we're taking notice, because, well, first of all, everybody's a fascist.
Right.
I mean, that's their way of protecting their globalist agenda,
Yeah.
is by calling everybody that wants to, like, think about their country first
Right.
over some rich people in another country.
Mhm.
They'll call them fascists. But
Right.
the theme this year at Davos was cooperation in a fragmented world.
Wow.
Do you think that was intentional
A little bit.
towards all
Yeah.
these like
Yeah.
protectionist and fascist regimes out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little bit of like guilt tripping. Be like,
Yes.
well, we'd all be together if it wasn't for some of you nations,
Yeah.
fascist people.
Looking at you.
Italy.
I wonder if Italy even made it. Russia wasn't even invited this
Oh,
year
I'm sure.
because
I'm sure.
of sanctions. They weren't allowed to come. It's just
Okay.
like I'm sure Putin was like,
Yeah.
oh, damn it.
Yeah,
I don't know what's Russian for damn it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure he was highly disappointed.
Right.
It's like, of all the shit I got going on right now with this war
Yeah.
and with
You think
economic crisis.
Was Ukraine there? Was Zelensky there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Zelensky
yeah.
absolutely was
Okay.
there, and we're going to get into that because Zelensky's at every party.
Oh yeah,
every elitist
he's the
party.
golden boy right now.
Yeah, like you can't have an elitist party without Zelensky coming and begging for money.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he's making his world tour.
We need money for our electricity and to pay our politicians
and to pay for my yacht.
Yeah,
and,
right. Yeah.
To pay for my acting lessons, all that stuff. So yeah, Zelensky was definitely there, and we'll get into that more because once again he was begging for money,
of course.
And I don't know how you can portray yourself, side tangent, as such a great heroic individual when every time you see this man, he is just begging for fucking money.
Right. Yeah.
He's just like got his hands out, like not even like begging, it's like demanding money.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys need to front this bill. And in a way, I can understand it because to me, I'd be like, y'all pushed us into this war.
Right.
Y'all need to pay for this war.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do this in the first place.
Yeah, and that's probably why they keep giving him that money because he's like, well, you know, I mean, I guess I could tell the people how you're wanting us to keep this going.
Well, remember at the beginning, back in January of last year, before the war started, like Ukraine's like, guys, they're not going to attack.
Right.
They're not building up. And like Britain was over there, like we see build up. We see this is going to escalate to World War II, and Ukraine's like, just calm down. We don't want this.
Yeah.
And then it happened. And so maybe in a way it is Zelensky, like, y'all pushed us into this. So you need to pay the piper here. But we'll get into more Zelensky stuff as we go. So Davos 23, I'll get right into the WEF's website and their insights from this year's 2023.
This should be good.
Yes. Would you be surprised to know that the U.S. makes up the largest amount of delegates at the WEF?
No, that does not surprise me at all.
It kind of does in a way because
Really?
it always seems like those types of people are always like, looking at you, United States, you need to get on board with this because they're like the European Union model pretty much.
Yes.
And the United States is the United States, who's always a little against the grain. At least some of us are.
But it's the elites in the United States that want to be like Europe.
That's fair.
So they see the EU and all the actual fascist shit that's going on, and they're like, oh man, we really want to be like them.
Now, it's interesting that the U.S. had some of the largest amount of delegates, but some of the fewest actual politicians. Like Biden wasn't there, which very few presidents actually ever go.
Yeah.
Trump was one of the first to actually decide, I'm going to go to this thing because those are my boys over there. They're all billionaires. I'm a billionaire. And so he like actually marched.
He like walked in and like the whole room got quiet and you hear like a
oh, really?
record scratch.
That's how this is going to be? That's how this, I thought it was one of you guys.
Yeah, right.
Noted. You're on my list. You're on my list. You are already on my list. Why are you even here? So, he tried to make it about himself.
Oh, yeah.
He gets up. He's like, when am I going to give my speech? And like, you're not even on the right.
Yeah, right.
I'm having a bigger forum over there.
Yeah, right.
So, but Biden didn't show up. Not very many actual politicians showed up. Some former politicians showed up. Obviously, John Kerry, the climate czar of the world, showed up. And the former climate czar of the world, Al Gore, showed up. Which is Al Gore anything anymore?
No.
Like, he crawls out of the woodworks once a year for these climate things. And they're like, we're like, oh, yeah, Al Gore is still alive.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, it's no longer his baby. They took it from him because he screwed the pooch. You know, it's like
by
the
not
climate
winning
thing,
presidency.
Well,
is that how he?
That and the fact that everybody pointed out, well, you're so big on climate change. How come you have this massive carbon footprint from your house? And
all of them do, though.
Oh, I know that.
Those people don't care.
But Americans pointed it out, and then all of a sudden he's like, and then he had the masseuse thing where remember he was like putting moves on his masseuse, and so that so now he's kind of on the outs.
But he's still trying to be on the
I know.
ends,
But he shows up and he's kind of, and it's the same thing. Nobody really wants to talk to him.
So this is the Davos or the WEF's insights on Davos 2023 says the World Economic Forum's annual meeting 2023 will take place. Oh, so this is actually before the show actually started.
Got
so
it.
this
Okay.
is what they're expecting.
Gotcha.
Their expectations.
Their agenda.
Yes. The World Economic Forum's annual meeting 2023 will take place in Davos clusters from 16 to 20 January. Is clusters? Is that in Switzerland? Is that part of Switzerland?
Yeah, that must be like maybe the village or something.
I don't know. Under the theme Cooperation in a Fragmented World, the meeting will bring together more than 2,500 leaders from government, business, and civil society to address the most pressing global challenges.
That's a lot of people.
That is 2,500.
Yeah.
And most of them are probably flying private jet. You're talking over 1,000 private jets to discuss why the world is on fire.
And like highly secured like convoys.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like lots of SUVs.
I'd seen they hired over 2,000 of Swiss military men to like provide security for this thing.
That's insane.
Yeah, right. But talk about calling for equity.
Right.
Davos 2023 comes at a time when the world is facing a multitude of crises, making the need for dialogue all the more important. What did they call it in that one article you sent me? It's like the
polycrisis.
Polycrisis. Yes, that's the latest and greatest
thing. That's the buzzword.
The buzzword for 2023 is polycrisis. So now there's not just like one crisis, not even two crises. We're talking multitude
linked
crises. Yes. So we've got obviously climate. There's probably still pandemics out there.
Absolutely.
We've got
inflation,
probably
shipping lines,
yeah,
eggs,
all the things that they created.
Yeah, right. War.
Oh yeah, you can't forget the war. How do we forget the war?
No.
It says you can find out more about Davos' purpose and history here, as well as information on how to follow the annual meeting. Yes, that's what I want to do.
Right.
Ahead of the meeting, here are some key reports from the World Economic Forum that will give you a greater understanding of the topics and issues that will be discussed in Davos this January. So you're talking 5 days, and there are like tons of things they want to discuss. We're talking, looks like at least like 12 key topics they want to hit on here. When do they have time for the orgies? That's my question. So number one, fostering effective energy transition in 2022. Now you got to realize the people that are here, again, thousands of private jets.
Right.
You got oil conglomerates here.
Yes.
You've got,
and I think, isn't this the first time oil people have been brought in to talk about the transition?
Well, this is at least the first time they've really focused on these oil people. Says the pandemic, the steep economic rebound, and the war in Ukraine have disrupted energy markets around the world, showing that energy transition is far from immune to the impacts of major global events. An effective energy transition requires careful balancing of all three parts of the energy triangle: economic development and growth, energy security and access, and environmental sustainability. Number two, Global Risk Report of 2023. The report used data from the Global Risk Perception Survey from 22 to 23 to understand the risk the world is likely to face over the coming 10 years. In the next 2 years, the cost of living crisis is seen as the biggest risk, while over the next 10 years, environmental risks dominate. Now, who single-handedly has the most impact on the cost of living?
I would say probably the governments.
The governments, or in the very least, all the people at this fucking forum.
Right, yeah, that's true.
All these people could change the cost of living crisis overnight.
Yes, right. Yeah, absolutely, right. With just a fraction of their money, right?
Yeah, it's just like, things are looking good for us, but this cost of living crisis, in the next 2 years, we're looking at a big cost of living.
We made like $2 billion in the last year, but boy, I've seen prices go up on eggs.
Yes, it's like the cost of gas to power my yacht, my super yacht, is really, really hurting me right now.
Yeah.
Number three, Markets of Tomorrow report. There is a growing evidence that dynamic governments and purpose-driven businesses are willing to shape a new era of public-private cooperation into investment in new technologies. In order to create the markets of tomorrow, which can meet key societal needs, a proactive approach and greater strategic planning are needed. The report draws on more than 12,000 responses to the forum's executive opinion survey. It seeks to identify which technologies are the strategic priority, which sectors are most likely to generate new markets, and what are the main obstacles to growth of the new markets.
Sounds horrible.
Says governments must act as investors of first resort to invite wider private sector interest and investment into technologies and sectors with the highest potential to build the markets of tomorrow. So they're saying governments need to be the ones investing in
private company.
in the private companies. Basically, and we've talked about this before. Once the government starts investing in a private company, it is no longer a private company. They have a say in what you do and how you do it and how you spend it. And so this whole private market, the public-private partnership or whatever, that immediately becomes public. It immediately becomes basically government sponsored,
and it's no longer a free market. It's no longer capitalism. I just read an article earlier in the week where they talked about how the Fed now has trillions of dollars in investments in the private sector.
No way.
Yeah,
in the quote unquote private sector,
and they made this move mostly
during the pandemic.
Yes.
You know when they gave out all those PPP loans and we called this shit out in 2020, we're like, all they're doing is owning a little bit more of your company, and then you're going to latch on to that handout, and then they're going to make it like through whether it's like artificial inflation or through this manipulation or that manipulation. They're going to make it so it's harder for you to survive without those handouts. And then the more they hand out, the more they control. And then down the road, they're going to call in their chips and be like, hey, you're no longer able to viably run your own business. So let us keep, let's work out this thing where we keep contributing to you, and we'll have this public-private partnership with you.
We're like, oh,
that's what PPP actually stood for.
It's like, we're going to fold you into Microsoft because we think they'll be able to run your company more
Amazon, Microsoft, BlackRock, all the key people that
are there.
Davos, yes. Number 4, the future of jobs report. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the arrival of the future of work. From the increased pace of technology adoption to the expansion of remote work, the labor market is facing rapid changes that workers must try to keep pace with. On average, companies estimate that around 40% of workers will require reskilling of 6 months or less in order to meet the fast-changing requirements. So
that sounds like it sucks.
Almost half of you
are
going to have to go through some kind of
new job training.
Yeah. And I promise you, if you're 50 plus years old, you're not going to be the priority of that reskilling. So if you found yourself in a comfortable groove with your current job and you're 50 plus, it's hard enough now to turn around and change jobs in your field. Like it's hard. It would be hard for, like, say you're like 55 or 58 and you're like, you know what? I want to go move to this job over here. Yes, I have all this experience, probably 20 plus years of experience, but they're going to look at you and be like, hey, you only got like 6 plus years till retirement. Why would I hire you when I can hire for the amount that you're asking when I can hire some 25-year-old for much less? Now, imagine your job just goes away completely. And now you're 58 years old and they're like, you have to learn a new job. And you have to be quote unquote reskilled and I don't know, placed in some other more relevant job. You think they're going to look at the 58 plus year olds and be like, that's the guy I want. No, they're going to, first of all, every 58 plus year old that I know is like, I don't want to learn anything new. It's like, this technology for these kids these days, I can't keep up with computers. What is this computer bullshit? And I mean, we know, you know who I'm talking about specifically.
Exactly
and I think he's 58.
Yes, I think so too.
So yeah, just imagine that. It's not going to make life easier for anybody. That, like, they're saying, oh, it's going to make everything so much better, but y'all just got to learn new jobs. That's all. That's all.
Well, and especially again with the move towards green jobs. I mean, all these oil workers, all these, people working in petroleum fields. I mean, they're going to have to learn solar. They're going to have to learn wind. I mean,
well, they're going to have to invest millions of dollars just to shift. Imagine our line of work, security company. I mean, it's not really that big of impact on the environment, but now let's say in 2 years from now, they're like, you got to invest in all electric work vans.
Right.
I mean, you're looking at what, $300,000 right there in a fleet of work vans minimum.
Yeah.
On a small company, small companies are going to go.
Oh, yeah. They won't be able to keep up.
They're going to tank immediately. And then the medium-sized companies are going to take a hit. The ones that are going to really, really do well are the massive corporations that are at Davos that took full advantage of COVID-19 and swooped up all that business and consolidated the wealth to begin with. That's all this is massive wealth consolidation.
I guarantee you the head of Tyco was there, right? The head of the big dog in our security industry.
Oh, absolutely. So let's keep going. The jobs of tomorrow, because we just did the future of jobs. So now we got to do the jobs of tomorrow. Social and green jobs for building inclusive and sustainable economies.
I love that term.
Anytime you get the words inclusive or sustainable in a sentence when it comes to elitists, run away. Run. Just run as far away.
Better.
Yes. Green New Deal, build back better. All that stuff is inclusive and sustainable economies. Jobs that support social inclusion and environmental sustainability are critical to driving inclusive and sustainable economic growth. This white paper seeks to quantify the need for social and green jobs in 10 countries by 2030. Why only 10 countries? It's like, 10 of you are, you guys need to change. The rest of us, the rest of you, there's not much hope for you anyway.
Yeah.
Well, you guys mine our freaking lithium, so you can't go that green, and you can't be that socially inclusive because then we lose our slave labor. So you guys are off the hook.
And the funny thing is, yes, I mean, all this is going to be decided in third world countries, right? I mean, China doesn't give a fuck, right?
Right.
And the United States, and I mean, I feel like from what I've read, is already pretty responsible in its greenness. You know, as much as they can for what we consume. I know they want us to make us Europe and make us eat bugs, but you know, for our lifestyle, we're not too bad. But China, Russia, they don't give a fuck.
No.
And then so this is going to be decided in Africa, South America, the South Pacific, third world countries who are going to they're trying to invest in and industrialize.
Well, because they'll go and sell their shit to those countries, because those countries don't have their own technology and stuff. So it's just like, no, you guys need to become more economic and more green and build these green cities. And guess what? Out of the goodness of our heart, we will sell this to you.
Yeah. And then
make a boatload of money.
Owning your airports.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It says, jobs that support social inclusion and environmental sustainability are critical to driving inclusive and sustainable economic growth. Oh, I read this part. The next paragraph says, in these countries, social jobs represent 11% of the total workforce, while green jobs constitute just 1%. To meet inclusion and social mobility goals, then these nations need 64 million social jobs.
Holy fuck.
Meanwhile, 12 million more green jobs. What constitutes as a social job?
Right.
And why?
Prostitute?
Probably. And like, why do we need so many more social jobs than green jobs? If the whole goal is save the world, save the planet, what are these? Do we need 64 million like social workers? Because if everybody's a social worker, what do we need social workers for? I don't know. I don't know what a social job is.
Yeah. I'm guessing like I don't know, police force.
I don't know. I'm not going to get through all these, but I just hitting on some of the key points. Global Parity Alliance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Lighthouses 2023.
And that sounds gay.
Super gay. The pandemic has caused a generational loss in gender equality. How did the pandemic affect gender equality?
I don't know. Did more women die? Is that what it was?
I think more men were affected. It was like 30 to something, whatever.
If anything, it made it more equal.
Yes. It says, increasing the projected time to reach global parity from 100 to 132 years. And now then the next one, or down a ways, it talks about gender equality, and it says the same thing. Progress on gender equality is stalling. It will take another 132 years to close the global gender gap.
How?
Where do they get this number?
Right. Yeah.
Like, what do they plug into their super smart computers that comes up? It's like 132 years. It's like, shit, we lost 32 years on the gender
The
gap.
fucking pandemic. Damn
Yes,
it.
the pandemic opened that gap up to
You know what it was
132.
is they got rid of all the nurses.
I mean, that's probably true. Now, 132 years doesn't even seem like a short-term goal to, like, why do, if it's that far out and it's that impossible, why are we even focusing
Look how
on
far we've come in 132 years in gender equality, right? Women can vote. Women are
I mean, that's
working.
pretty big.
Women are CEOs. I mean, we've
gay
come a
people
long
can
way.
get married in most countries.
Yes.
It says the LGBTQIA plus individuals continue to face stigma and discrimination, and only 4% of businesses are focused on making offerings inclusive of people with disabilities. However, efforts to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion are becoming more widespread. In 2020, it was estimated that companies worldwide spent $7.5 billion on DEI-related efforts, a figure that is projected to more than double $15.4 billion by 2026. I like how they quantify this in dollars and cents.
Right, yeah.
It's like, because we're making money off of it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, companies spent $15 billion. To who, though?
Right.
To the people at the top that are at these meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say, well, my company spent XYZ or like $72 billion, but I paid my friend John over there, who in turn paid me.
Right.
Like they're just basically just shuffling their money back and forth and then patting themselves on the back saying, I spent $70 billion.
Yeah.
And then I got $70 billion in subsidies and shit like that. So that's diversity, equity, and inclusion lighthouses. Global cybersecurity, I don't think they talked as much, because last year that was the big thing, was cyber threats.
That's right. That's right. They were going to war game it and shit.
Yep. It says one challenge identified by the report is recruiting and retaining cybersecurity talent. The forum's survey found that 59% of all respondents would find it challenging to respond to a cybersecurity incident due to the shortage of skills within their team. Traveling and tourism development is a big thing, I guess.
Okay. It's a problem when a lot of countries are still very strict on their vaccine policies.
Yeah, right.
So
Maybe cut back on that, and maybe people start traveling again. The Net Zero Industry Tracker. It's a tracking platform that supports the emergence of low carbon industries by decade's end. Given the industrial sectors account for nearly 40% of global energy consumption and more than 30% of global greenhouse gas emission, the transformation and tracking of these sectors is pivotal to reach net zero by 2050. Then this one was interesting to me. Biodiverse cities by 2030. That's like an upcoming trend at the WEF. Biodiverse cities, like the word cities. It's a pun, you know. Transforming cities' relationship with nature. Now, I have looked up so many articles about this, and they say so fucking little about what they actually want besides merging technology with nature, like cities with nature.
Cities.
Yeah, smart cities where they have plants growing out the roofs and shit.
Like our library here in our town, it is a biodiverse building. They do that. They collect rainwater. They have plants on the top of the building. They do a lot of solar. They just kind of capture a lot of the natural.
Does it do a lot of good, though? Does it actually, is it really effective, or does it look shiny on a piece of paper?
I was going to say, I think it looks cool. It sounds cool. But I don't think it really
how
does
much impact does it actually have, though?
Nobody releases those reports.
Cities contribute 80% of the world's GDP, yet their exponential growth in recent decades has come at the expense of nature. You're pushing those people there.
Right. Exactly.
So you are the reason, the expense of nature, because you people are the ones that are like, we need to put more people in the cities.
Right. Yeah.
Aside from damaging local ecosystems and fueling the loss of habitats, urban areas are responsible for over 75% of global carbon emissions. I thought the farms and the cow farms and shit was the majority of it. It just depends on what their focus is this year, because it was the cow farms. Now it's the urban developments that are
and when you got big corporations buying up farmland, I mean, they're pushing people into the cities.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exactly what they want. More on biodiversities. Like I said, there isn't a lot out there. Like seeing cool pictures of like CGI pictures of like grass growing out the tops of buildings, and we've seen those like animal overpasses on highways.
Right, where turtles can walk over.
But the little short paragraph that I just read here is really about all you get out of what their proposition is for this.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, well, we need to invest more in these biodiversities. It's like, well, exactly what? Break it down by the numbers. So I might be able to get on board with it if it actually does something. And like, I don't know, I'm pretty big at I like nature. So, I mean, if I could go outside and like walk a really cool hiking trail here in town without really, I mean, I would do it. I would rather get out in the country, but you don't see any like actual solutions here. It's just like, oh yeah, biodiversities. And we're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So what is it? Well, it's they're biodiverse.
Yeah.
And they're cities.
Right.
And they merging biodiversity with the city. And it's basically just redundancy, just talking out their asses. And what it basically is the Green New Deal. It's like, oh, we need to tear down all these buildings, build all new buildings, and blah, 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 and spend trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
And the trillions of dollars go to the people that, again, are at these meetings.
Right. Well, you got your, that bike trails, you got the parks and going through the town, you got the trees growing out the side of apartment buildings, I mean, shit like that.
But
waterfalls going down skyscrapers.
I mean, that'd be fucking cool.
Right. Right.
But is the impact that it's actually going to have, because we know how government programs actually work. Look at government housing. Does any government sponsored housing look like something you want to live in?
No.
So when the governments get involved and like, hey, we need to come together and build new cities. Now we got government sponsored cities that also have plants. And we know how these people are at taking care of the environment because they're the ones that destroyed it. So let's make the cities the environment. You're just going to have a bunch of dead plants all over buildings.
That's exactly what you'll have.
It's going to, you ever remember those houses that always had the vines growing up? I mean, a lot of times you'll just see like dead vines growing up and nobody takes any effort.
Right.
That's
there's the rose garden over there. And it's just like a big clump of dead flowers.
That's what it's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, their goal is kind of like what we've talked about before, kind of the smart city from Saudi Arabia type thing. Or
right.
is it
And
Egypt?
that doesn't look cool at all.
No,
That's
it sounds
big glass
like a zoo.
prison.
Yeah, exactly.
But they have the illusion of nature inside. It's like,
Exactly.
what has a better illusion of nature? Going out
Nature.
and fucking nature. Yes. So that's a few things on their agenda for this year that they're talking about. There was other things there, but I mean, it's the same bullshit. It's like diversity and inclusion and economic growth and environmental protectionism and stuff like that. And but the like I said, it always comes down to like quantifying it in dollars and cents because that's all these people care about,
and that's all they can see.
It's like there's a $1 trillion industry that could go into, and you say $1 trillion industry, they're like, yeah, we'll make fucking money doing this. And that's all they care
lose
about.
5 million people, but trillions of dollars. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm sold.
That's fine.
The world can stand to lose 5 million, right?
Right. I mean, we should lose 5 million anyway because overpopulation and shit. So
exactly.
So basically, what it to us it seems like it's the wealthiest of the wealthy that get together and determine how to make our lives worse and shittier for us and their lives wealthier for them.
Yes,
it's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, because kind of like with the gas prices going up here, and Biden just basically being like, oh, well, people will have to learn how to get along without, it's same thing with these people. They don't care that you're going to have to retrain. They don't care that you're going to have to pay a little bit extra. If it pushes you to public transportation and it takes you 5 hours to get home because of the fucking bus, they don't care because at least they're keeping the environment clean. Right.
Supposedly. Now, in reality, what's going to happen is we're going to be put in these like illusion glass boxes, like in Saudi Arabia,
right?
And the rest of the world is just going to get raped and pillaged, and it's going to look like the majority of Saudi Arabia,
right?
And they're just going to decimate it and turn it into a bunch of factories. But we don't know because we're living in this glass box that looks like has the illusion that they're being all natural.
I mean, you'll have to you'll probably have to like get some kind of permit to go outside the city. It's gonna be feudalism, basically what it is, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I run this city here And you guys need to. We're gonna have to cut off your AC for a day, because I have to fly to Davos next year.
Oh my
right?
God! Can you imagine they turn off the AC in a glass box?
Right. Yeah. Right.
They're
It's
gonna
like,
cook us
we got to
alive.
reduce our carbon footprint, people, because I got things to do.
Yeah, what happens when I don't know the facilities in one of those glass cities just stops?
Right. Yeah.
Unintentionally,
Right.
accidentally stops, and they're like, "Oh, we can't get inside; it's locked." And I mean, it's just a few.
You've lived
million
in
people.
government quarters. I mean, what it takes to get someone to come service something.
Yes. Well,
right?
I'm thinking more like intentionally cutting them off.
Yeah. Right.
It's like,
okay.
yeah, we got a few million too. Actually, let's accidentally cut off the power
Right,
to this
yeah.
one. So let's talk about the people that went to Davos this year. Because like I said, lots of Americans, not too many politicians. Apparently, like 52 world leaders decided not to go this year. So here are the countries and companies, according to QZ.com, that dominated Davos this year. Like who participated. It talks about... Let's see, over 100 countries and regions are represented this year at Davos, with 703 people registered. Is this year's? Because we had read like 2,500
Yeah,
people.
2,500. Yeah.
So this came out in January on the 15th. So just a few days ago. There was
crashers.
There was more than 703 people registered.
Yeah.
There was like 2,700 people registered from what I've read. With 703 people registered. Americans had 703.
Okay.
Americans constitute 27% of all participants. All told, 2/3 of the attendees are from 10 nations. So, like representing the entire world.
Right.
10 nations are the total majority of this. So here's the highest percentages. Like I said, the U.S. has 27%, with Switzerland, the country of origin, only having 9.6, coming in at second place. The UK has 9.1%. Germany has 4.3%. India has 3.6%, on down to South Africa, which has 1.9%. While there will be plenty of wealth concentrated in the mountain resort, 9 of the world's 10 richest people will be missing because they just send their minions now to do it.
Just take notes.
Their company's still. It's like Bill Gates isn't there, but Microsoft is there.
Exactly.
So like Amazon is represented, but like Jeff Bezos isn't there because those people all step down, because they're doing philanthropical things instead of running these businesses. The exception, Gautam Adani, the chairman of India's Adani Group, and currently the third richest person in the world, according to Forbes. He also attended the 2022 meeting, which was delayed until May because of COVID. So here's the political leaders at Davos. Says it's common for heads of the state and other high-level officials to show up. This year, there's only one G8 leader, Olaf Scholz, the Chancellor of Germany. He won't be lonely, though, because at least heads of at least 40 nations will make an appearance, including Belgium, Colombia, Ecuador, Finland, Greece, Iraq, Korea. Which Korea? North, I'm assuming.
Right.
Mozambique, Pakistan, South Africa, Spain, and Zimbabwe. Other key figures include Great Britain's former UK Prime Minister, Tony Blair. Why is this guy still around?
Yeah, it's because he's still like a silver spoon person.
He's still like the globalist puppet out there.
He's still an elite.
I'm surprised like George Bush is, George Bush Sr. H.W. Bush is dead. So he was the big globalist, and the other one's probably too dumb to even go.
Right.
It says Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko. So, Mayor of Kiev.
Yeah.
Which is Ukraine. He obviously is there. U.S. climate change envoy John Kerry is there. So those are the most reputable of the world leaders.
That's
we get John Kerry and the mayor of Kiev. For the most represented nations, however, the majority of attendees are not public officials. So like I said, like the U.S. has 27%, but only 2.8% of the U.S. people there are politicians, like leaders, like public leaders. It's mostly like the BlackRock people and the Amazon people and all
people that are there to make the money.
Yes, exactly. Some of the smaller countries, though, like South Africa, has 14.3% of public officials.
It's their countries that are going to get raped.
Yeah, exactly. There will be at least 634 CEOs in Davos this year. Most prominently are Shell, Amazon, Citigroup, Moderna, and I heard Pfizer as well.
I'm sure.
And BlackRock. So, the people that want to, that not want, but already basically run the entire world.
Yeah.
They're there. The companies that made bank during the pandemic are coming to discuss how the world got decimated under the pandemic. Yeah, it's because of fuckers like Amazon and Moderna and BlackRock.
Yeah.
But don't worry, they're there.
Yeah.
Some companies sent large delegations to the event. CNBC sent 13 attendees. BlackRock sent 7 attendees. Let's see. Google sent 7. We got the Wall Street Journal, Salesforce, Accenture, Stanford University sent 7. So
that's weird.
I mean, got a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Members of the media, we don't need to get into it. Gives like a list of top reporters that are there. It also said, here's the best. Other interesting attendees. British actor Idris Elba and his wife Sabrina Dower Elba, who is a UN Goodwill ambassador.
Huh.
Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who I've always thought was a globalist puppet from the start.
Yeah.
I thought if anybody in Trump's, because they always say, well, like this president is the next Antichrist. Like Obama was going to be the Antichrist.
Right.
In Trump's situation, my thought was if any of them is the Antichrist, it's not
Jared
Trump,
Kushner.
it's Jared Kushner. And
I can
so
see that.
Jared Kushner made sure to show up. He is the founder of Affinity Partners, a private equity firm. Members of the Black Eyed Peas and CEO of I Am/Angel Foundation, Will I Am, also known as Will Adams, was there. I don't know why he's there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like they had to point out that he's a CEO of some foundation
that nobody's ever heard
He's
of.
probably just there for celebrity status.
Yeah,
and that's the closest
yeah.
thing. I mean, the Black Eyed Peas haven't done anything since like 2007.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I don't know why he's fucking there. And then Maxima, the Queen of the Netherlands, Mathilde, the Queen of Belgians, and Albert II of Monaco were also there. So some
royalty.
Some basic nobody royalties were there too. So those are the people we are dealing with.
The Maxima is a hell of a cool name.
Maxima, no kidding. It's just like
Queen of the Netherlands.
Maxima and Matilda. They're just queens.
Yeah.
They're just
there.
Yeah, they're just there to be queens. So I don't know. What do you think? Are you shocked by the
no,
people that
not
are
at
there?
all. Not at all. I was kind of thinking that maybe there'd be Madonna or Sean Penn.
Madonna's
or something
in
like
a little bit of heat, remember?
Yeah, that's right. That's
but
right.
I guess
yeah.
this would be a good place for her then, because of the human trafficking and shit. But yeah, I'm surprised. Like last year wasn't the big one. What's his name? The Titanic guy. What? Who?
Oh, James Cameron.
No, Titanic.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio. He was there, and everybody was like, "Dude, you're all about the climate, but you're flying a fucking jet to Davos."
That's right. I remember that. Yes.
So yeah,
yes.
but important people,
yes,
that we care about were there, like BlackRock and Amazon.
Yes, people that again we know are raping the earth.
Yes, and raping us, and we're bending over and taking it. And they're like, we should get together and talk about how we can rape these people even more, literally and figuratively, I'm sure. So, let's see, where am I at?
We just talked about the who's who that is attending.
Yeah. We had key takeaways, because we talked about what their agenda was.
Yes.
But we have their takeaways. I want to point out some of these specifically before we get to break, because one of the biggest was obviously the economy.
Yes.
Now, going into a meeting like this, knowing what you know about the economy as we all experience it.
Yes.
Positive, negative sentiment towards it.
My personal sentiment.
If you were to go to this thing and they'll be like, "Hey guys, what's the overall outlook of the economy right now, of the global economy?" Yeah, walk into it, you're like, "God, it's fucking shit."
Yeah.
Now it's like these people thought that's what they're getting into, but then they got surprised to know that it's a little more positive than they thought.
Oh, for them.
Yeah, exactly. This is such fucking bullshit, because it says gloom and doom heading into Davos turned into cautious optimism by the end of the global economic outlook for year ahead of looking better than feared. So that's their conclusion: looking
Yes.
better than feared.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, what are we on? Egg prices? $8 a dozen. That's not bad.
Now, it doesn't say it in this article. I'm trying to find where it said it. Maybe it's on this link. Basically, it said, it's like, raise your hand if you guys made a bigger profit this year than last year. And a bunch of them raised their hand. They're like, look, guys, it's looking good.
That's
the economy
a
is
horrible
looking,
measure of
right.
the
A bunch
economy.
of billionaires
Yeah.
raising their hand if they made profit. That's a great way
Yeah.
to measure how the economy is doing. Now, get a bunch of us together and say, raise your hand if it's better this year than last year. Probably not as many people.
Right. Yeah.
But to base your economic outlook on whether or not the billionaires made a bigger profit this year or not. I mean, you could say the same thing about fucking 2020.
Right.
Because,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, Amazon, did you make more this year? Fuck yeah, I did.
Yeah.
All that government checks went straight to Amazon.
I guess the economy's doing good.
Yep.
All right,
looking
let's
great.
move on.
Let me see if I have exactly what it said. It says, call it the Davos paradox. That's pretty much it too.
I like your term. Delusion
Right
better.
here. Yeah, it says trade tensions are fracturing supply chains and investors have just suffered their worst year since the 2008 financial crisis. Yet when the assembled crowd at Davos were asked how many of the companies represented had reported better profits last year, a majority of them raised their hands. So then they came to the conclusion, outlook, mostly positive.
That's such bullshit.
We made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So mostly positive.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Oh,
That
it
these
just shows you
billionaires
how-
are like, no, the economy's
But
not
it just
too
shows
bad.
you how irrelevant this is.
Right?
You
It's
know?
like these people are so detached from reality that they can actually come to the conclusion because they made more money.
Yeah.
And it's all the whole trickle down economics bullshit that they tried to push down our throats during the George Bush era.
Right.
Or back as far as the
Reagan.
Ronald Reagan era. Yeah. And just revived by the George Bush.
Yeah.
It's just like if we're doing good, they're obviously doing good because we are their employers.
Right.
It's like we made a profit.
Yeah.
I mean, we did lay off tens of thousands of
And
people.
we did put a wage freeze on everybody, but
but everything's great because we made a profit. Says the WEF's annual meeting was filled with discussion of plenty of risks, including inflationary pressures from China's reopening. So they're really concerned about China's had this like lockdown forever because of the zero COVID thing. Well, they've just lifted that. And so they're reopening and they're like, oh shit, they're going to start doing good again. And that's going to really put strain on the supply lines again. And so this could be bad. China, could you not open up just yet? Because we're making good profits here.
That's very nice.
It says things are not great, but they are much better than they could have been. So that, I mean, there you go. There you go. Everything's looking up because it's not great, but it's better than it could have been. Could have been so much worse. Ukraine. For Ukraine's allies, Davos was all about doubling down on better weapons and financial support for Kiev to defend itself against Russia. Outside the West, though, fears of an economic downturn highlighted global divisions as some delegates encouraged a quick return to the negotiating table. Says, this week, listening to politicians, I was surprised in a way because I got the feeling that no one really knows exactly where we are headed and what the solutions can be. If we want, so that was Tanja Fajon, Slovenia's deputy prime minister and foreign minister. This here is NATO's Secretary General. It says, if we want a negotiated peaceful solution tomorrow, we need to provide more weapons today.
How is that peaceful solutions?
That besides the so the quotes out of this, we got to pick out the quotes. Things are not great, but they are better than they could have been. Much better than they could have been. And the next quote, if we want to negotiate peaceful solutions, we need to provide more weapons. There's another quote. So it's top disconnected quotes from Davos.
Right.
Just like the slogans.
Yeah. We should put that on a t-shirt.
Yes. So now we get into trade. Now, some people we'll come back to Zelensky and Ukraine because I've got some shit, a little bit more shit about that. But trade, it says, be careful of friend shoring, warned the WTO, World Trade Organization's Ngozo Okonjo, God, these names, as the big three trading powers of the U.S., Europe, and China pushed their new industrial policies. Now, apparently, remember we had this Inflation Reduction Act.
Right.
A lot of these countries are not very happy about that act.
Really?
Because a lot of it was made in America type shit. It's like we're going to promote green policies and we're going to promote made in America. Well, these people are like, we're fine with the green policy stuff, but that made in America shit, that's a little unsettling for us.
We thought that one out with Trump.
Yes. It goes on, it says, this becomes a rich country game. We can subsidize this, you can subsidize that. What about the poor countries who have limited fiscal room? They get left out in the cold. No, they don't. We sell you our shit. Right. And you pay top dollar for it, and then we own you. That's how that works. Let me see if I can find the stuff about the American First policy.
Plus, if they truly cared about the poor nations, they would not be pushing war between Ukraine and Russia, right?
No, I mean, that's bringing in tons of money for the poor nations, obviously. So this talks about the problem everybody had with the Made in America law, is what they called it there. It says a cautious optimism ran among the Europeans. So this is from the New York Times. Ran among Europeans gathered high up in the Swiss Alps for the annual meeting of the WEF this past week. It says, when pondering Europe's longer-term future, there was plenty of fretting over President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. The concern was voiced loudly in the ski town of Davos, Switzerland, that the law's provision for $369 billion towards low-emission energy and green technology would draw vast sums of investment and jobs away from Europe, cementing fears of deindustrialization on the continent. Simmering for months, the complaint punctuated speeches and informal discussion from the main conference center to the back meeting rooms. Europeans fear that companies will choose to build battery factories and electric vehicle assembly plants and other major products in the United States to benefit from tax credits and other incentives in the law that encourage local manufacturing. That could mean production in Europe would be diverted to the United States, or businesses could simply pick the U.S. over Europe for future products.
Oh, no.
It says it's no secret that the certain elements of the design of the Inflation Reduction Act raise a certain number of concerns in terms of some of the targeted incentives for companies, said Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the EU. The next day, Olaf Scholz said the local content requirements in the law must not result in discrimination against European businesses. So here are some of the things that they're calling it extremely protectionist, is what they're talking about. Now, this is interesting to me. It says Solveig Aromius, a senior partner at McKinsey based in Germany, said the law was protectionist and probably more extreme than the types of trade actions former President Donald J. Trump took against the European Union.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Like, they're all thinking that he's back on the same page, and then they're like, wait, this is super ultra protectionist. Now, the European complaints prompted President Biden to promise to make tweaks to the law. So again, we passed this law in our Congress. Our lawmakers passed this thing that's like this green agenda mixed with like boosting our economy because of, and they're like, and Europe's like, Biden, we like that, but you need to make some tweaks to this.
Yeah. We want part of the kitty too.
Yeah. This law that was passed in your government, you need to make tweaks. First of all, the president can't make tweaks to a law that's been passed.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. But it sounds like it sounds almost intentional to me. It's like they put in this stuff so like the Republicans in Congress would help pass this, and like both sides of the fence would be on board with it. And then it's like, well, these guys don't like this part, so we're going to axe this part, but keep this part that you guys weren't okay with to begin with. But you only approved it because of this part over here. We're getting rid of that part over there. So I feel like this is going to be like a bait and switch type of thing.
I can see that.
Like really, really fucking fast, and it's going to not really benefit us.
Yeah.
Now, it bothers me when an organization of rich dudes like this can look at a country and be like, you worry too much about your own fucking country. When the rest of the world has all these problems, you're worried way too much about your own country. You need to lighten up on that whole protectionist thing, because we all got our own problems too. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's bullshit. So, but I think that they're giving Biden too much credit.
You do realize he doesn't actually run this country,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Be like, well, just make some tweaks. Nobody's gonna really know, right? You're the president,
Right.
and so, but it just goes to show where the rest of the world's head is, right?
Yeah, right.
Like they don't give a fuck about how a country is personally, like how a country if a country succeeds or not, as long as it's playing with everybody
The
else.
globalist
Yeah.
playing table.
Right. As soon as somebody's like, well, I'm going to go play over here.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're bad guys.
Guys, this globalism thing's all well and good, and you got a lot of great ideas, but I really got to worry about my own country.
Yeah.
First.
Otherwise they're not going to elect me next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
if I don't do something good.
And that's why Trump was the outlier to begin with, because he was ultra, I don't know, protectionist, nationalistic type, whatever. And he wasn't supposedly wasn't in on the game.
Right.
His son-in-law, but on the other hand, Jared Kushner is all in, all cards on the table, but supposedly not Trump. But now they're like, and what do you think Biden is feeling, or the Biden administration is feeling, when the EU is like, you know what, you're fucking worse than Trump? It's like, fuck.
Right.
I do need to tweak that law.
Yeah, but don't say that too loud.
Yes.
Or he's like, yeah, well, you know what? I got to take care of my people.
Right.
Right. I mean, only to get the votes.
Yeah.
Not like
obviously.
he really cares.
Now, they also got into climate, and we're going to talk more about this after the break, but I just want to touch on this real quick. The carbon crowd received a warm reception as the renewable industry rubbed shoulders with big oil executives. What a better way to push green energy than let's talk to the oil execs.
Yeah.
But don't worry. The oil execs are now in a better positioned to invest in green energy because they made bank last year on high oil prices.
Yeah, they did.
It says it right there.
Oh, yeah.
Awash with cash after a year of high oil prices, fossil fuel producers have the firepower to invest in green energy. It's like, yeah, let's go to the people that jacked the oil prices to begin with and be like, hey, since you made all this money off the peons down there, now do you think you could invest in green energy?
You know what? Maybe that was their strategy the whole time.
Maybe it most likely
I mean,
was
because I had a friend that lived down in Odessa, Texas, big oil town, and said when Trump was in office, the whole place suffered.
Yeah.
Right? Because there just was no money coming into the town at all.
Really?
Trump goes out, Biden comes in, business is booming. Right?
Yeah, because oil prices were low then. Right. It was good for
Too
us,
low.
but it was bad for them.
Right.
Yeah.
With the pandemic, nobody was traveling.
Right, that too.
So, but now they got money. Now they can play cards with the big boys.
Right.
Again.
Now it says efforts on the CEO green pledges and climate financing appeared sluggish. On the outside, Greta Thunberg, an activist, called on the energy industry to stop hijacking the transition to clean power. On the inside, political leaders like Keir Starmer railed against new oil investments, and Pakistani climate minister Sherry Rehman pushed for loss and damage funding. How do we get there?
Wait, loss and damage funding?
It doesn't explain. It just says, that's all it says. So here's the great climate czar, John Kerry. And this says everything what you need to know about what is going on here, what the real agenda is here. How do we get there? Like to where we need to be on climate
2030.
The lesson I have learned in this last year is money, 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 money. U.S. envoy John Kerry on meeting the Paris Agreement's global warming target. So basically, we need more money.
Yeah.
More money, 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 money. That's his solution, is just throw fucking money at it.
Wow.
Because it's worked so far.
Yeah, right.
So let's just keep throwing money at it. That's great.
Huh.
So, I mean, it gets into tech, talks about like AI, which we'll talk a little bit after.
Yeah.
We got to get into freaking break here. We'll talk a little bit about the AI, but I don't want to get away from the climate shit just yet, because I've got, what's his name? Al Gore, again, was there.
Yes.
And he kind of made a buffoon of himself.
Okay. Again,
but more so this time. Greta Thunberg was outside this time, not inside, which was an interesting change of events for her. She was like And did she get arrested there, or was it some other thing?
It was something else. She got,
okay,
but we still think that wasn't an actual arrest.
Well, I think
right?
she got arrested again this week, though,
did
too.
she?
So I'm not sure, but she was there and she
Yeah.
was protesting it. And last year, I think she was there, like at it, or at least in the last couple of years. When Trump was there, I know she was there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting twist of events.
Yeah.
Maybe she's waking up to this and realizing these rich people don't give a shit.
Maybe, or maybe she's just reading the room and seeing that people are turning against.
Yeah,
these
people
guys.
don't like this, and they're not doing anything. So we got to get into break. We got quite a bit more stuff to talk about because I want to get into like the party. Yeah, the after party.
Oh, okay.
So we got to get into that stuff, and we'll get into it when we come back because it gets fun. Apparently, there's more to this than just business meetings.
Oh, I'm sure. Right.
High price hookers. Probably lots of drugs, but we got to take 2 or 3 minutes to take a break. When we come back, we're going to just continue the Davos party. So hang tight. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net.
I don't know what's happening anymore. I just hit wrong buttons, and then it didn't work the first time, so I just hit the same wrong button like 2 or 3 times, and like it's not working. It's like this is the wrong fucking button. Oh, it's kind of like these Davos meetings. It's like they keep coming up with these solutions on how to save the planet, and keep wondering,
they keep fucking it up themselves.
It's like, guys, why are they not listening to us? And why do they keep? It's like because you're the ones that are fucking up the planet.
Yeah.
So here, let's just get right into this. This Al Gore video, and then we'll discuss.
All right. He's always a good time.
Yes. Let me get rid of the freaking music and stuff. Man, you think I haven't done this almost 3 years now. Al Gore, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day, and the accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans, creating these atmospheric rivers and the rain bombs, and sucking the moisture out of the land, and creating the droughts, and melting the ice, and raising the sea level, and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century. Look at the xenophobia and political authoritarian trends that have come from just a few million refugees. What about 1 billion?
Wow. So what do you think about that? 600,000 Hiroshima bombs in the atmosphere.
Yes.
That's how much heat we're putting into it. And fire bombs. Don't forget. Is he starting to sound like maybe a ultra liberal Alex Jones?
I can see that. I think he's a little pissed that people haven't been listening to him in the last 20 years. And he's going full force Armageddon on us.
See, the problem with Al Gore, the reason why people stop listening to him, besides the sex massages and besides whatever, the yachts and stuff,
the giant massive complex that drains energy from
What
the state.
about 40 years ago when he was saying, guys, in 10 years there's going to be an ice age?
Right.
And then now it's, guys, we got fire bombs and 60,000 Hiroshima bombs in this of heat in the sky.
Yeah.
In like whatever.
Boiling our
boiling our
the
ocean. Literally oceans boiling.
Yeah,
I've yet to
have
see
you
an
seen,
oil.
I was going to say, I've
ocean
never
boiling.
seen an ocean boil. And I go to the ocean on a regular basis.
You haven't seen the
Not
boiling?
yet. I keep looking.
So, I mean, again, you've got people, thousands of people, like 2,700 people flying over 1,000 jets to a ski resort. Who probably, how many super yachts do you think there is collectively between all of these? How many mega mansions and how many cars? How many gas powered cars do you think
power in that city in gigawatts do you think that they just absorbed being there, partying?
Yeah, being there, but I'm talking about collectively how much energy just in their own
to get there.
Well, in their own. Just think about their personal lives.
Oh, yeah.
Not their business, not their corporations that are sucking up energy, but their personal lives. The 2,700 of them with their mega yachts, mega yachts and mansions and
planes,
thousands of cars and planes.
Yes. Convoys.
Yeah. How much energy is being
I
spent?
would be willing, if you took out those 2,700 people, you would probably see the energy consumption of the world drop like 50% at least.
Yes, just in their personal usage.
Yes.
That's not even that. Now get to the corporations that they run.
Right. Yeah.
Like Amazon, like Shell Oil and BlackRock and all.
I mean, that's probably 90% of it right there. I mean, if you got rid of,
I'd say 99% of it.
I would go with that. Yeah.
Like these people own 99. Well, like I think it said like the top. I had read that the top 1%, which is most of these people, own like, I think it was 2/3 of the world's wealth this year. So just imagine the amount of, on the flip side, the amount of energy that is consumed between that much wealth and that much, though that amount of assets that they own. And they're complaining to us about the freaking fire bombs in the rain bombs. That's my new favorite term. Rain bombs.
I like that.
Freaking rain
I don't even
bombs.
know what a rain bomb is.
I don't know, but when you get 60,000 Hiroshima bombs in the sky, the rain will be rain bombs.
Yes. I mean, just think about the loss of environmental resources and lives that these people go through, right? And they don't care.
Right.
They don't care what happens to any of this.
No. So this, like I said, this man has just changed his story so much, and he's here trying to be relevant again. And I think that's what most of these people are, is they're trying to tout their relevancy. Same with John Kerry. It's like, what has John Kerry done besides show up to these climate things?
And that's him, because he's the climate czar, because he failed at presidency too.
Well,
but
up to 2016, I think I read, he possessed his own mega yacht, and he 10 multiple cars.
He was married. I don't know if he's still married to her, but he was married to the
Heinz chick.
Yeah, the Heinz ketchup heir. You know,
and how much energy is, how much pollution is going through that?
Exactly. I mean, it's just it's so asinine, right? How just they always look at everybody else and what they're doing, but everything they do, again, is but we're doing it for the good of the world.
Right. Now, it seems like I said at the beginning, people are starting to kind of catch on to the hypocrisy of this, including Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg's like, no, I'm not having this shit anymore. Like I said, she was like a guest a couple of years back.
Right. Yeah, she was. I'm sure she was like kind of the token speaker, the kind of the golden child.
But now this is what she has to say about Davos.
We are right now in Davos, where basically the people who are mostly fueling the destruction of the planet, the people who are at the very core of the climate crisis, the people who are investing in fossil fuels, etc., and yet somehow these are the people that we seem to rely on solving our problems, where they have proven time and time again that they are not prioritizing that. They are prioritizing self-greed, corporate greed, and short-term economic profits above people and above planet. And we seem to be listening to them rather than the people who are actually affected by the climate crisis, the people who are living on the front lines, and that kind of tells us the situation, how absurd this is. But the people who we really should be listening to are not here.
Now, what is going on here? Now, she said, we can see how absurd this whole thing is. Yeah. Now, how long did it take Greta Thunberg to come to this realization? Because these are the people that made her.
Yes.
She was like their poster child for
Yes.
the green movement and the green agenda. It's like how dare you, that whole thing, that whole act that she put on.
Yeah.
They made her, and now she's like, well, these are the people that are causing it. It's like, well,
Yeah.
no shit.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to come to that conclusion? Because
Yeah.
they're the people that put you on the map to begin with. You wouldn't even be a person, like a known person, if it wasn't for these people that used you as their puppet. And now all of a sudden, supposedly, you're like, these people are the ones causing it. They should listen to the rest of us. It's like, well, no shit.
Yeah.
But what do you want though?
Right.
Because
and maybe that's the thing. Maybe she finally did her own homework and was like, oh shit.
Or somebody else with a deeper agenda got their
Yeah.
hooks in her, the tentacles around her. I don't know.
So-
I'm not going to come to some
Yeah.
conclusion that Greta Thunberg is a saint
No.
at this point, until she comes out and
Right.
I
If
mean, she's gotta
she
do something.
actually gets arrested and gets her ass kicked, then,
Then-
I'll be
then
like,
maybe.
okay, she's
Yeah.
got some street cred.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I feel like the facade is kind of going away.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of unraveling, but
it's only taken 23 years, right?
yeah, but I mean, we've given these people so much power. Is it like, what's the point now? Is it too late to? It's not like the people she was talking about. Oh, the people that are affected by this, they're the ones that we should be listening to. It's like, yeah, but the people there aren't going to listen to those people,
Right.
and those are the people that possess like 99% of the world's wealth and are causing 99% of the world's problems.
And that's the problem, is not many people are paying attention to what happens over there, right? They're not paying attention to the people, the corporations, and the agendas that are in place. They continue to blame, or not blame their own politicians, and the easy scapegoats, right? The cow farts, the oil companies, that kind of shit.
Yeah, when they even said the cities we're shoving people into contribute 70% of the pollution, not the cow farts, but tomorrow it'll be the cow farts again.
Right.
If it fits their narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's keep pushing more people into the cities. But now I had read, we talked about the biodiverse cities.
Right.
And one of the key things that the WEF's website pointed out was, well, building these diverse cities will also bring in like $8 trillion in revenue. It's like, again, pointing out
the money part,
yeah. Because that's what's going to get their attention. That's what this is all about. It's like, well, these people made their living on building the world as it is today.
Right.
And it's like, well, we've kind of stagnated we've built it to where we can. So we could really make a ton of money if we just bulldoze it and build it all over again.
Yeah.
It's like the world's greatest insurance scam ever. It's like you build this house, just like, it's a great house, but it'd be great is if I burn it down, claim the insurance money, and build a new house, a bigger house.
Right. Yeah.
And then once we run out of money to fight, like run out of good reasons to spend money on that and make money off of that, let's bulldoze it a third time and do it all. I mean,
human lives are cheap for them. I mean, they mean nothing in the grand scheme. I mean, look at again. I mean, all this talk about the lithium batteries and stuff. I mean, look what it does to these countries that are strip mined and the child labor that's put into place.
Right.
I mean, they don't give a shit. It's all about, oh well, but look what electric cars can do.
Right. Exactly. So much better for the environment.
Right.
Now let's shift courses. I said I was going to bring up Zelensky because he is making his world tour to all these big events.
The current golden child.
Ukraine's Zelensky tells Davos that supplies of Western tanks must outpace another Russian offensive. So now he's demanding tanks. He wants tanks. Because remember, he was demanding like air support.
Right.
And now he's demanding tanks. How long before he's demanding troops? Because that's the thing. Everybody's like, well, we'll provide air support. We're not going to provide troops.
Right.
We'll provide the tanks, but not troops. We'll provide the technology. but not troops. How long before Zelensky's like, now you provided all the shit, but I don't got enough people to drive my tanks.
Right. Yeah.
So we need some boots on the ground.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that's about next.
It says Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday said supplies of Western tanks must outpace another Russian attack, reviving Kiev's push for delivery of heavily armored vehicles amid fears that the Kremlin could soon launch a new mobilization drive. He says mobilization of the world must outpace a next military mobilization of our joint enemy. The supplying of Ukraine with air defense must outpace Russia's next missile attack. The supplies of Western tanks must outpace another invasion of Russian tanks. The restoration of security and peace in Ukraine must outpace Russia's attacks on security and peace in other countries. A tribunal for military crimes must prevent new ones. He's demanding a lot here.
He hasn't. You got to put up a little bit, Zelensky.
I mean, he's already been given over hundreds of billions of dollars, but that's not enough.
Right.
I mean, he's had more in foreign aid donated to him than Russia has spent on this entire war. It's like, what's he fucking spending on this war?
Right.
Says analysts at the Institute for Study of War, a U.S.-based think tank, said Tuesday that Putin may announce a second mobilization wave in the coming days, possibly as soon as January 18th. Zelensky and a senior Ukrainian official have repeatedly urged Western allies to provide heavy military vehicles and weapons in order to help defeat Russia's nearly year-long onslaught. So Poland, France, and the UK have pledged to send tanks to Ukraine.
Really? France?
Yeah. Finland says it could also donate a small number of German-made Leopard 2 tanks to help.
Wow, they re-gifting tanks.
Germany, however, said last week that it has no plan to provide Ukraine with Leopard 2 tanks. Now, I did read that Germany did give Poland the okay to send tanks, though.
Okay.
Where do you think Poland gets their tanks from?
Probably Germany.
So they don't want to look.
Yeah.
But
again, remember, Germany is in like this. They're still trying to figure out this Nord 2 oil thing.
They don't want to get their oil cut off more.
Exactly. So they're like, no, absolutely, we won't give you tanks. Give them these tanks.
Yeah, we'll resupply your tanks.
Right.
Well, we talked about that with other systems. We talked about the U.S. Like Poland was going to send a bunch of shit to Ukraine, but the U.S. promised to resupply them with new shit.
Right.
So the U.S. isn't providing all this shit, but they are resupplying Poland, who's supplying Ukraine. So it's this. Poland's always this fucking middleman type scenario.
Because they can't be blamed, right?
No, you can't blame Poland for any atrocities at all, ever. So that's the Zelensky thing. I don't want to talk about it too much because it seems like it's the same thing. It's like he gets up on the big screen and he's like, the war is going very badly. I need more of your money and your shit. We know that the economy sucks where you are, but we have this war and you need to give us billions and billions of dollars. And it's just like,
so is Ukraine like, are they the new Israel? Is that what this has become?
You can't say that because that means we're going to cut off shit to Israel, and we're never going to cut off shit to Israel.
No.
You can't say they're the new Israel.
No,
maybe
they're another Israel.
Israel 2.0, maybe?
Yes, Israel 2.0, because Israel is in place to keep the extremist Muslims in place.
Yeah.
And now Ukraine is there to keep Russia in place.
We've always said that Ukraine is our satellite.
Yeah.
Going to be the satellite for Eastern Europe, just like Israel is our satellite for the Middle East, or
and it really became so after we put the Nazis in, because now we're committed.
Oh yeah, you got to once you put the Nazis in, you have to.
That's commitment right there.
Yes, I mean you can't turn back once you implement the Nazis. So let's get into the fun stuff. So you're talking 2,500 of the richest people in the world.
Yes,
talking about equity and climate. While they're flying their thousands of jets and burning up the climate and driving their yachts and all this stuff. And they're responsible for all the inequality in the world because they're the ones that consolidate the wealth to themselves.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, guys, there's all this consolidation of wealth that we should be concerned about.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. It's like their problem with the consolidation of wealth is there's not enough consolidation of wealth.
Right.
They
want it more consolidated.
Yeah, when they're talking about solutions to wealth consolidation, their solutions are the opposite of what we think. It's like, it's like you would think if they really want to really focus on like lower economies and stuff, they'd be like, oh, we got to boost local economies, like the local businesses and the small businesses and the mom. No, they do the opposite. It's like we need to buy up all the mom and pop shops, and that's how we boost their economy.
Yeah,
it's like
we're gonna put an Amazon in every town.
Yes, that doesn't boost that boosts your economic wealth, but not the local economy. And you never hear these big time meetings that are like, oh, how can we save the poverty down in, I don't know, Zimbabwe. Well, I mean, you could like boost their local shoe shoe shops and rice factories, and no, instead it's like, well, let's just, and we saw it in Haiti and we talked about it. It's like, let's just dump a bunch of cheap shit on them, so then the local economy goes to shit, and then they're sitting even worse, but we made a lot of money, and it looks good on us because we donated a lot of shit to them.
We'll send investors, Payless Shoe Source, Walmart, Foot Locker in there to kind of help boost their economy.
It's going to create trillions of dollars and trillions in revenue for us.
Yeah, right.
So you got, like I said, 2,500 of the richest people in the world. Do you have any idea what these people spend to go to this event to talk about the inequality of the world?
I can't even fathom.
Do you want to know?
I do.
How
I really
much?
do.
Let me see if I can find this one. Where'd it go? Davos 2023, breaking down the cost of attendance. This is from yahoofinance.com or finance.yahoo.com. My bad. Yahoo Finance's Dave Briggs breaks down the cost of attending the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, from travel and lodging costs to $43 hot dogs.
Holy shit.
40. That's worse than baseball games. That's worse than baseball game hot dogs. You pay like $12 for a hot dog at baseball. Yeah. And you're like, wow, that was fucking expensive, but it's baseball. You got to have a hot dog. It says, all right, welcome back to what just happened. So this is like
rich
an interview.
People even eat hot dogs? I didn't even think. I mean, you would think they'd be like, oh, well, I'm eating the last white bison.
Probably bison hot dogs. I don't know. It's maybe they're like, we want to feel like the poor people. Let's eat hot dogs. Says, I want you to close your eyes and picture Davos. Now, what comes to mind? For most, it's billionaires, CEOs, and world leaders hobnobbing in the Alps. But not for me. It's the $43 hot dog or Caesar salad that's just short of $60 for a Caesar salad. If the elevation doesn't take your breath away, the cost of the attending the WEF will. As Amex says, membership has its privilege, and before you can buy a ticket for 19 grand,
holy shit,
for a ticket, $19,000 for a ticket, you must first be a member of the World Economic Forum, which costs $52,000 a year to become a member. So all these companies that are like, oh, we're partners with, and the WEF's like, oh, these guys are our partners. They're on the same level with us. Well, that's because they spent $52,000
same level
to be on the same level. Yeah. It's not that they're doing all the right things. It's that they're sending. Basically, they pay $52,000 for the World Economic Forum to say they're doing a good job. You should buy shit from them because they're saving the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you're out $71,000 before you even slip into your $1,000 Canada Goose jacket. If you're going to fly 4,000 miles, you've got to go the extra mile to attend private sessions with your peers. And that privilege requires industry associate status, another $137,000 for the week. So there's like extra perks, like VIP perks, and like these like inner circle meetings, and those are hundreds of thousands of more dollars.
Oh, you want to shake hands with Klaus Schwab?
Yeah. So the 19,000 is just to get in the door.
Gotcha.
But if you want to like bump shoulders with the elites, you got to be in the associate status for another 137,000. So unless you're riding solo like Jason Derulo, you'll want a wingman or a woman, which the WEF calls industry partners. With that add-on, we're now over $250,000. What about a crew of, say, 5? Strategic partner status sets you back more than $500,000, and we still haven't had a cold drink. So the 19,000 is just to go by yourself. If you want to bring a group, it's like a lot more money because you got to get like company status. Like you got to register your company, not just individually. Says a hotel, we're not talking about a real palace here. $500 a night bare minimum. And most VIPs would not dare stay at a Hyman-like hotel. WEF VIPs prefer private chalets, which go for $140,000 a week.
Jeez.
Of course, there isn't a subway into Davos, and don't dare ask CEOs to walk. A chauffeur-driven Mercedes for the week, actually a bargain at $10,000 to get you chauffeured around for the week. The mode of transport, though, that truly defines Davos is the private jet. It says more than 1,000 of those flew into the environmentally focused conference this week. And if you don't own your own jet, that sets you back $70,000 round trip. So if you don't own a jet, you're at least paying $70,000. Despite these eye-popping numbers, what you're hearing from execs from all industries is they're packing in 6 months to a year's worth of face-to-face meetings in one trip and will happily fork over the cash this time next year. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at millions of dollars spent to go to these things.
Like in the age of Skype, there might be a better way.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's like you got all this shit that, and not to mention that now Microsoft this year, Microsoft alone, because each company that goes there wants to outdo another country. Microsoft put on a private Sting concert for its 50 people that it brought. So they brought in Sting.
Holy fuck.
Just for 50 people. So what do you think? I don't know the exact cost of that, but just off the top of your head, that's probably at least $1 million that they had to pay him.
Yeah.
Now, Microsoft laid off 10,000 people last year. What do you think those people think that the Microsoft execs got a private Sting concert?
I picture that meme of that bald guy going like this.
Yes, exactly. So we're worried about all this equity and all the poor, and that's what we're here to discuss. But we're spending millions of dollars and burning up so much carbon and having Sting perform for private concerts for 50 people.
After, like you said, laying off thousands of people.
Tens of thousands of people. That one company.
Yeah.
How many people across all these companies?
We know Meta laid off a lot of people. We know Elon Musk laid off a bunch of people.
Elon Musk wasn't invited this year, so you know.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
He's not in.
He's
currently
not in the outs.
Yeah, so like you said, why aren't they doing the shit virtually?
Right.
Like, wouldn't it make sense? I mean, they did it in 2020.
If they cared that much for the environment, absolutely.
They did it in 2020, remember?
Right.
Like during COVID, and it's such a splash. It was such, I think we even played a couple clips from it. It was just like super gay. But yeah, why couldn't they not fly their jets? Like they've talked about, all these big strides of advancement in technology with virtual meetings and virtual work from home. It's like, why aren't you having your big old meeting virtually? You can even charge tens of thousands of dollars to do it. I don't care. At least you're not burning up the environment. You'll probably save a few bucks. You might not get chauffeured around, but you get chauffeured around anyway. So what's the big fucking deal?
Right.
But yeah, it just makes more sense.
Two reasons.
What's that?
Status, right? If you're in, you're in, right? Oh, well, we went to Davos this year. Oh, shit.
Right.
Number two, you can't hack a live meeting.
I mean, that's fair too. That's fair. But I think the biggest thing is it's not just business meetings.
No, fuck no. It's like the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
The people that go to see the Super Bowl
for nerds
are maybe 2% of them are actually football fans. Right. I mean, this is for a chance for people to go. They have parties. They show off. They brag. Yes, well, I did kill 10,000 people. I mean, it's just like
it's a dick swinging.
It is a dick swinging contest.
I did want to get into the parties, the after parties, and the after parties, because apparently Davos is not short of its infamous parties.
It sounds like some Eyes Wide Shut shit.
It's got to be fucking weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear of Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
And the shit that they do there. Yeah. This has to be fucking weird. These guys are rich, and they probably got beat up a lot as teens and shit in high school and became what they are. They're into some weird shit.
Yeah.
But I don't want to know, because it doesn't say exactly, but I do know that it is a big drunk fest after hours. It's like nerds. It's like nerds Burning Man, pretty much. Because this is from Vanity Fair. This is actually back in 2016, but it talks about Davos and its famous or infamous parties returning this week. It says politicians beleaguered by one crisis after another, and 0.01 percenters battered by global markets need a pick-me-up, and thankfully, the ultimate ego boost is just around the corner. The WEF, the annual Oscar for world leaders, CEOs, billionaires, and celebrities, just socially conscious enough to wrangle an invite, kicks off Wednesday in the Swiss Alps. Again, this was 5, 6, 8 years ago now.
8 years, yeah.
Surely there's enough for the rich and powerful to chew on, as about 1,000 chief executives, 40 world leaders, and Leonardo DiCaprio descend on the tiny village of Davos for a few days. The world economy is on the brink. Interest rates are rising. Wow, nothing has changed.
I know, right?
They keep going to these things to say how to change.
Yeah.
And you could read this probably 6 years from now, and it's going to sound exactly the same. There's a refugee crisis. Interest rates are rising.
Yeah.
The American electorate is cycling through a clown car of candidates gunning to lead the free world in less than a year.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed in the last 7, 8 years. Yes. Inequality is widening at such a scale that just 62 individuals own as much wealth as the 3.6 billion people in the bottom half.
And they're all at Davos.
Yeah, they're all fucking at Davos. 62 of the thousands there own as much as 3.6 billion people in the bottom half of the world's income stratosphere, it says. But don't worry, they're here to party. It says, so the likes of Joe Biden, John Kerry, Dave Cameron, and Benjamin Netanyahu, all these people, will.i.am made it that year too. So
but nobody else is
completely irrelevant here.
Yeah.
But he's high celebrity status there. He is their go-to celebrity. will.i.am. Yo Mama was there. Kevin Spacey was there back then. So that's telling you something. Bono was there. Bill Gates and Leonardo DiCaprio for days of panels and talks and presentations at which to discuss the greatest issues of the day among the greatest minds and powers and bank account holders.
And yet we're still here.
Entirely important as those discussions may be, they would be entirely boring and unappealing to the vast majority of the world, if not for the rather infamous parties that take place each year in Davos, turning a civilized meeting of the most sought-after minds into Coachella by dark. There are corporate parties for which companies like Yahoo and McKinsey reportedly shell out millions of dollars to throw flashy events like private Sting concerts, inconveniently located hotels that take hours to get to on the town's icy roads. Then there are the private dinners, wine parties, and late night held on side streets in chalets, penthouses, and cigar bars, hidden from the majority of Davos revelers. Finance bigwigs, Russian oligarchs, not this year, and Silicon Valley kings alike are reduced to middle schoolers with social anxiety waiting to see if they will get an invitation to the most exclusive of parties, for the guest lists have been painstakingly pruned. And for good reason. In years past, Skybridge Capital's Anthony Scaramucci underwrote a 2011 wine party in which the world's most expensive and highly rated wines were guzzled down, according to reporter and reveler Felix Salmon, resulting in what was basically a drunken mess. Says, at which the Killers and Mary J. Blige got the world's plutocrats to the dance floor. Hopefully the lights were low, it says. Then there was 2013 when Sean Parker had a taxidermy-themed party, which the Napster founder and Facebook investor team spent 2 days transforming Dole Davos space into one with stuffed animal heads with lasers in their eyes.
Okay, that sounds badass.
So it's taxidermy. It's like actual animals, like stuffed taxidermy animals with lasers in their eyes and a dance party. It says, let's see, John Legend played, according to Henry Blodgett, and mixologist entertainer Liquid Chefs were flown in from London. Last year, a financier's party got shut down by Swiss police at 2 a.m. and the DJ was ordered to shut off the music. Bartenders by that point had gone through all the liquor designated for the night and the supply on reserve for the following night's soiree.
Jeez.
This year will likely be no different, according to insiders. The corporate parties will rage on, but more excitingly, so will the chalet dinners, the post-dinner cocktail party, and the major bashes on Friday evening. Once the sessions are over, for which some titans fly in women from around the world to entertain the predominantly male attendees. Well, Spacey and Biden, I didn't know Biden was attending these things back then, but when he was back, when he wasn't president, he was going.
Yeah.
Says, will Spacey and Biden drunk hold hands ice skating down Davos streets? I would love to see that. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, right.
Will DiCaprio tap Draghi and Trudeau for his pussy posse? Can you imagine Justin Trudeau and the pussy posse? What will Cameron, who we know knows how to have a good time, get up to? Will we ever find out how will.i.am scored an invitation? All will be revealed in time. So that's the party. And one of the things to point out is the women flown in from around the world to entertain.
Right.
And knowing the people that you have there.
Yes.
Specifically, I mean, you got Kevin Spacey there.
But it makes you think, like, how close were Biden and Kevin Spacey, right? Now
Right.
that you know everything you know about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, what is Kevin Spacey doing at this fucking thing?
I'm picking up.
Yeah, I know he played a politician.
Right.
And
maybe that's it, you know?
maybe Joe Biden wanted to be Kevin Spacey on, what was that show?
House of Cards.
House of Cards, yeah.
Right.
He saw himself as that. Now, knowing what you know about the types of people that are there, though, you think maybe a little bit of possibly, I don't know, sex trafficking might be taking place
I'm sure,
around there.
I'm sure. I'm surprised Epstein's name's not mentioned quite a bit in these things.
Yeah, he probably is. He's just he's probably got an
Behind
anonymous
the
name.
scenes.
Yeah. He probably used to throw the events before he died. Now, I don't know if you saw about prostitutes have a just $2,500 night.
It sounds fair.
$2,500.
Yeah.
Scores of sex workers swarmed to the Swiss ski resort town to offer their services to the rich and powerful this week. Now, I don't know what I don't give a shit about legalization of prostitution.
Right.
To each their own, whatever. I don't fucking care. How much of this do you think is against her will, sex trafficking type shit?
Most of it, for sure.
Probably most of it. Yes.
Yeah.
You got the wealthiest of the wealthy.
Yeah.
And you also have, like, at Davos, at the World Economic Forum, they have these forums or these like panels. Like there's specifically a panel on ending modern slavery, which specifically talks about sex trafficking. They have an award. The World Economic Forum has an award for like the person that did the best to like battle sex trafficking. Sure. Yet you've got these people by night going out and spending $2,500 on hookers.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is just the tip of the iceberg of the hypocrisy there.
Yeah. Right.
It's just like, hey, we got to end sex slavery. But hey, apparently when you're at these dinner parties and shit, all you got to do is like look at some person like server or something and point at the ceiling, I guess. And that's the symbol to bring you a hooker.
Huh.
Yeah. So they have like their own hand signal, like hooker hand signals. Like, all right, give me another one. Give me another one.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all.
It says one prostitute who goes by the name Liana told German newspaper that she frequently provides services to American attendees at Davos, to an American attendee at Davos who pays her $750 per hour or $2,500 to spend the whole night. I want to know who that fucking is.
Yeah, right.
It's the same person. She's like his personal hooker.
Yeah.
That she dresses in business attire in order to blend in with the crowd at the WEF gathering. A woman who manages an escort service based in the Swiss town of Argua, which is located 100 miles from Davos, told 20 Minuten, which is, I guess, like 60 minutes in probably Davos. I don't know. She received 11 bookings and 25 inquiries, and that was just the beginning. Some also book escorts for themselves and their employees to party in the hotel suite, the manager said. Says a German sex worker took to Twitter to describe her experience mingling with the Davos crowd. Date in Switzerland during hashtag WWF. I think you screwed up your hashtag there. WEF
would be a whole different party.
Yes. Means looking at the gun muzzles of security guards in hotel corridor at 2 a.m. and then sharing the giveaway chocolates from the restaurant with them and gossiping about the rich. Hashtag Davos, hashtag WEF, the sex worker Solomon Balthus wrote. So what do you think about What do you think? Do you think this person's still alive? She tweeted out and hashtagged Davos and WF that she was a high-priced hooker.
No, I don't think so.
No, she disappeared, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It says Balthus, who said she is staying at a hotel near Davos, refused to divulge the names of her clients.
That's probably
Believe
best.
me, you don't want to get into litigation with them. But she's fine tweeting it out and hashtagging it, but she's like, you don't want to get into anything legal with these guys. She tweeted that politicians are unlikely to solicit the services of a prostitute. I don't believe that for one second. They have neither the time nor the desire.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. We know politicians.
Yeah. Well, unless they bring their own interns.
That's probably true. It's like, why pay for them when we can just... they probably have their own private section where their own girls are just
But it's
already...
the corporate people, it's after they see Sting that they want to go grab some
Obviously.
prostitutes.
You have to choose between a drug, sex, or political power, she continued. The latter is stronger. It doesn't leave room for other interests and eats up people completely. No, when you have political power, then you also have the drug and sex power on top of that.
Yeah.
Stop kidding yourself.
Yeah.
Balthus, the sex worker, because we know it's not true. I don't know what they paid you to say that politicians don't have time for drugs and sex because they're all about the power. Because with great power comes great drugs and sex, pretty much. I think that's how the quote goes.
I think that's correct. Yes.
In 2020, a Swiss law enforcement officer told the Times of London that at least 100 sex workers traveled to Davos in anticipation of the week-long event. So for them, it's just like, it's almost like the lottery. They're like standing, you remember the you don't remember, you probably remember, you're fucking old, but the lines for work during the Great Depression you see in the movies and stuff where people are just like,
I'm not that old.
I know, but like a truck comes on, it's like, I'll take 5, and they're like, oh, me.
Yeah, right.
That's what it seems like the sex workers are like in Davos. They're like standing outside the gates of.
They're like, you, do I have a redhead? Okay, let's get you up here.
I specifically need a brunette with 3 freckles on her left ass cheek. Now, do we got anybody like that? She's like, I got 4 on my right. It's like, nah, no, I need 3 on the left. And I mean, the degeneracy that goes on there has to be beyond anything we can comprehend.
I mean, again, these are the people that think they are top of the world.
Yeah,
right.
They can do whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, when you think about like the Roman days or the Greek days, I mean, what those guys did. I mean, the debauchery that was involved.
Right.
I mean, these guys think they're on the same level. Right.
So we need to wrap this thing up. We could probably talk for hours just about the degeneracy that takes place here. Now, what's more intriguing to you, the degeneracy or the things they actually talk about?
I think they go hand in hand.
They do.
I mean, that's just obvious, like the hypocrisy right there. Hey, we're going to give you an award for fighting sex trafficking. Hey, have the hookers gotten here yet? I mean, it's just ridiculous to me.
On a side, unrelated note, the hookers will be on display in room 3.
Yeah. Congratulations on fighting sex slavery. We're going to give you 10 hookers.
You saved 5 sex workers this year. We're gonna give you 10.
And we've given them all to you.
Giving you 10 for doubling that.
Yeah, I mean that's just
maybe they saved by paying these hookers $2,500 a month. Maybe that's what we are giving back.
Yeah,
we are helping you because you're not like, you don't have to work down on the street level where it's dangerous and gross and you can get like poor people AIDS. You can get the high class AIDS that we offer you instead. Like we're doing you a favor, and that's why we're giving ourselves awards, because we're helping you.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, that's the mentality that they have.
It is.
Same mentality that they're like, no, we're going to help save the environment, save the world from all the carbon emissions that we created by paying ourselves amongst each other to transition to other shitty sources. They're the same people that are like, we're going to save the world from sex work by paying these sex workers more and making their lives a little bit better. I don't know. That's how they save things. It's just by throwing money.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, John Kerry said it right there.
Money. Yes. Yeah. That's just the theme of this whole thing. It's like, so how do we end the sex slavery? Money. More money. Just give them more money.
Right.
How do we save the environment? Just more money. But just throw money at it. Just lots of money.
It's the height of entitlement right there. You know, and to me, like we talked about, 99% of the problems right there.
So this I think is the last article I want to cover. It talks about, I'm not going to get into the sensible because it talks about the sensible and bizarre things that come out of Davos 23. We've already talked about as sensible as it gets.
Yeah, right.
I want to hit what they consider bizarre because, I mean, it calls it out right here. It's insanity on display because it says, John Kerry, former senator and former Secretary of State and now chief climate alarmist for the Biden administration, said in so many words Tuesday during his World Economic Forum rant that it's too late to save the planet from global warming.
What?
So why the fuck are we even here? Yeah, he claimed climate programs still need more money. But it's too late, but let's keep throwing money at it.
That's so stupid.
Doesn't even make sense then. It says the only reason he's not the worst person in the world is because he has so much competition at Davos.
Yeah, no shit.
So it gets into him and how, because it talks about, this is what he actually said. He's not convinced that we're going to get there in time to do what the scientists said, which is avoid the worst consequences of the crisis, meaning that he doubts the global temp will stay under the cap of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures set by scientists. Yet he continues to crusade for the cause that he hopes to strip Westerners of both their wealth and, yes, as he said, money 7 times, and freedom to move about. With absolutely zero self-awareness, the man who flies private jets, has multiple homes, which most of us would consider mansions, and more cars than most families, and up until a few years ago owned a yacht, preached about the way we live, and thundered against the incredible sort of destructive process of growth that we interpret it. The growth, the way we interpret it. He called it robber baron growth. He's preaching to the fucking robber baron. They're not going to it's not like you're going to get in front of a bunch of robber barons and be like, you know, the problem with the world is all the robber barons coming from a robber baron.
Right. Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, I feel like I should change my ways.
Right.
Yeah. No, they're like, how can we make more money?
Right. Exactly.
They're probably, it's like, it's all because of the robber barons. They're like, woo, yeah. Represent. You get that one drunk guy and they're like, not yet. That's the after party.
Yeah, right. Now I hear there's cameras.
It says, no less nauseating was the performance of another failed U.S. candidate, Al Gore, the mother of the global warming cult. He came off like a crazy uncle that the family tries to keep away from the outside world. Author and columnist Michael Walsh said that Gore is a man who appears to need help. During his tirade, Gore gesticulated wildly, his face reddening, his voice rising. The former vice president of the U.S. became a man in the deadly grip of panic, violent, superstitious reaction to the weather. We heard it. He's talking about the rain bombs.
It was fabulous.
It gets into the hypocrisy of it all because it says Washington Post columnist James Bovard denounced an even more sinister turn, a plot by Davos crowd to curtail freedom of speech and the press. So this is the part that you don't see coming out of the WEF's website's not like, oh, one of the things that come out of here is the curbing of free speech and the censoring of the media and stuff like that. Because it says if you expect billionaires and political weasels to save the earth, then you'll love the WEF at Davos, Switzerland. The Swiss government assigned up to 5,000 Swiss troops to protect its attendees, except from prostitutes, charging $2,500 a night. Self-worship is obligatory in Davos. John Kerry, Joe Biden's special envoy, hailed his fellow attendees as extraterrestrial for their devotion to saving the earth. So John Kerry called them extraterrestrials. Not sure if that's a good thing. Never mind, they all flew in private jets. WF is whooping up the Great Reset, building back better so that economies could emerge greener and fairer out of the pandemic. But people around the globe are still recovering from the last time the WEF stampeded policymakers. WEF was hugely influential, championing every form of COVID control from lockdowns to vaccine mandates, observed Jeffrey Tucker of Brownstone Institute. Freedom of speech is the greatest barrier to inflicting the Great Reset. According to the biggest peril the self-proclaiming global shapers are targeting is the clear and present danger of disinformation. The WEF is calling for a global framework to regulate harm online. Jeez. The star of the panel was New York Times publisher A.G. Schultzberger, who proclaimed that disinformation is the most existential of every other major challenge that we are grappling with as a society. So all these other, what did you call them? Polycrises?
Yes.
Peril, like, don't even measure up to the existential threat of disinformation.
Wow.
Like global warming, poor people starving to, none of that has anything on disinformation.
Wow.
Says when we make mistakes, we acknowledge them in public and we correct them, except for Russiagate. It's 1619 Project Fairy Tale and a few dozen other howlers. Former New York Times editor Jill Abramson slammed the Times for being part of the Davos corporate circle jerk. The Davos pro-censorship fervor was epitomized by panelist Vera Javora, European Commission's vice president. She declared that the U.S. will soon have laws prohibiting illegal hate speech, just like Europe has. The WEF's global framework to regulate harm online means worldwide censorship, but the WEF offers one of the best illustrations of how denunciations of disinformation are self-serving shams. This bizarre notion was no WEF aberration. Last July, WEF proposed slashing ownership of private vehicles around the globe, and then there was their pitch to save the planet by having people eat insects instead of red meat. According to the WEF, individual freedom is luxury that citizens can no longer afford. Would-be tyrants can always find lofty pretexts to enchain their victims. Yes, John Kerry, you are extraterrestrials. From one of those movies where aliens tried to conquer the earth.
Yeah, basically.
So, I mean, that just says it all. It's just like the WEF is concerned that we can no longer afford the luxury of individual freedoms, while all of them have more individual freedoms and more individual assets and possessions and cars and shit than all of the rest of the globe.
Yeah.
But us driving private vehicles,
right, that's a problem.
Is the problem.
Right? I mean,
us having private domiciles is the problem.
Right.
We should be renting out our spaces.
Yeah.
Like working 3 shifts where, there's no need for me to possess this house by myself for my family.
Property.
Yeah, I could work first shift and my family could go to school first shift. And then you could be sleeping in this place and possessing it for that 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then the next family could be coming in. Like, there's no need for private property.
Right.
There's
Absolutely
and this
not.
is all coming from the people that own the most fucking private property.
Yeah. But it's just like during the pandemic when you had celebrities in their mansion being like, it's rough being locked in during this time, but we're willing to take this risk to save.
Well, they have a
ones we love.
Starbucks
Right.
inside their mansion.
Starbucks. They got the pool and basketball courts. I mean, it's just it's.
Guys, you got to stop going to public gyms.
Yeah.
Get private gyms like me.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, we got to stop going out and eating out.
Right.
Get private
Or
restaurants.
who is was Stephen Colbert, who's like, well, I'm not really worried about gas prices because I have an electric vehicle. I mean,
fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I know. It just shows the detachment between the inequality that's out there that they don't even see.
It's again, the 2,600 people there could single-handedly save like end starvation, end world hunger, just by all of them pitching in like 1% of their wealth.
Right.
1%.
Yeah.
That leaves them 99 fucking percent. 1% they all pitch in.
Yeah.
Everybody is doing all right. And that might sound kind of communist to you. I'm not saying like order them to. I'm saying these are the people that are supposedly concerned about it, but these
greatest
are the people,
minds in the world, right?
Greatest minds in the world coming together to figure out how to tackle world hunger and climate crisis.
23 years later, it's still there.
Yeah,
all of it.
Yeah, the same fucking people.
Right. I'd argue worse than what it was before.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's just like, guys, why are we getting further from our goal?
Right,
Like, what was it? Gender equality is up to 132 years before.
Right. Well, it had to be the pandemic, obvionsly.
Obviously, it's the pandemic. Not all us rich white dudes here propositioning hookers to come.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how did we get here? Where
I think it's always been there. I think it's just something that with technology we're able to pay attention to now.
I think it gets worse though too.
Oh, it does. It does.
I'd like to know the numbers of like the exact data on wealth consolidation from when the World Economic Forum started 50 years ago until now.
Yeah.
Because these are the people that are like, guys, we're going to do it. This is our year. We're going to tackle inequality. And then next year, more wealth inequality, more concentrated wealth to those people. Then the following year, it's like, guys, we got to tackle this inequality thing. We can come up with these solutions and we'll also make money off it. And then the next year, it's like, wow, there's so much more inequality now, but we need to tackle this.
That just means we need harder.
And the environment is burning a lot. And do you think any of them at least have maybe sort of a delusion that they are doing good, or you think it's all just sinister, like let's just collect the wealth and say we're doing good?
No, I think they have a delusion that they are doing something.
Or at least some of them possibly have been told.
Yeah, the BlackRock guys, they don't care.
No, BlackRock, no, they know they're fucking it up. Amazon, they know they're fucking up the economy. Those people know.
Yeah.
But I think some of them are like, yeah, we're doing, like somebody patted them on the back. Hey, good job. It's like, oh, I did do a good job. I went to the World Economic Forum. I am saving the planet.
We did talk about the gender gap, and we did talk about, inequality and green stuff. So, I mean, something had to have happened, right?
Yeah, things are looking positive. The economy's looking positive because I heard from the guy from what's the big bank? The Sachs,
Goldman
Sachs guy was the one that was like, guys, everything's looking up because y'all made profit, right? And they go back home like, guys, hey, everybody, don't worry, we made profit. So Goldman Sachs guy says things are looking up.
Things are better than what we thought.
We're doing okay. Yeah. It's cautiously positive or so, whatever fucking stupid term they said for that.
But it's completely delusional.
It's all delusion.
Yeah.
It's all their.
Yeah.
I mean, you got probably higher ups than them. Like, we don't even know the people that control that, because they're not in total control. There's the people that we don't know about because we're not allowed to know.
They're the ones that are too smart to be seen in public.
Yes. They're the ones that are like, no, you are doing a good job. I'm like, oh, we are doing a good job. And this is what you need to be doing. Oh, this is what we need to be doing. But I think there is a large number of greedy sinisterness in this too. It's just like,
fuck yes.
Yeah, money.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're making money and we look good. Yeah. That's what this thing's about.
So it's a win-win.
Yes.
It's a win-win.
So final thoughts on Davos Delusion of 2023.
If there's anything that makes me lose all hope in humanity, it's seeing Davos. I mean, the Oscars are bad. The Grammys are bad. The Emmys are bad. They all make me sick. But Davos, I think, tops them all.
Yeah. Yeah. To say the least.
Yes, to say the least. And yes, you hit it on the head. You want to save the world, nuke fucking Davos this time next year.
There you go. Yes.
And I guarantee you the world will be a better place.
Rain bombs on Davos.
Yes.
All the 60,000 Hiroshima bombs that are in the atmosphere right now, drop them all on Davos.
Yep.
And 98% of our problems go away.
Watch the world flourish.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great reset we need right there.
Absolutely.
Not the great reset they are proposing there at the WF. We need to just get rid of all them fuckers. And then, I mean, there's going to be growing pains. We're going to have to rebuild. I mean, we've come to this like hyper industrialized, corporate world. And once you take those all out, it's going to be rough for a while.
Yeah.
But it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be fucking beautiful.
It will. It'll be like when they did the lockdown pandemics. We'll see dolphins swimming in Venice, whale in San Francisco.
Yes. Well, that's why they're so afraid of protectionism in countries and nationalism in countries, because then their globalist agenda, it's null and void. It's like once countries are just like, nah, fuck you. I'm going to look after my own. And then you get like the United States, where you get like Texas, that's like, fuck the rest of the United States. We're going to take care of our own.
Right.
And then you get, it gets down to the local level where people like us are like, fuck you. I'm going to stop buying from Amazon. I'm going to stop buying from Walmart and support that's when things get ugly for them, because and that's when a new pandemic has to come, obviously, to shut everything back down.
Right. Which of those panels do you think they sit in and they figure out, okay, these are the politicians we need to get rid of to kind of extend our reach, right? I mean, they got rid of the Brazilian guy, right? You know, Trump's gone.
Biden's next. You know, Biden's next.
Biden's got to be next. He's just causing too many problems.
The Haiti guy's gone. Sri Lanka is gone.
Yeah, Italy's going to be next. You know, Poland.
Yep, it's all going. Well, that's why they're hoping Poland gets nuked by Russia. That's why they're shipping all the tanks through Poland. They're like, well, we're just gonna make them the bad guy, obviously. So wasn't it Auschwitz? No, that was in Austria, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Austria.
Whatever. I don't know.
Poland wasn't innocent either, though.
No, so Poland was not.
They had
innocent.
their own.
Yes, that's all the time we got for this. That's all I want to spend on Davos because I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
the most I give a shit is, guys, I mean, if anybody knows a good, like, nuclear arsonist,
yes,
next year this time, I'm not saying do it, but next year this time, I got a good location for you. I can give you the coordinates.
And if you go to Davos, if you go with Davos and you want to save the world, wear a bomb,
please, a big
save humanity, bomb. Take out Davos.
We're gonna get somebody knocking on our door for sure. Make sure you check us out all over social media. If you want to know where the FBI can find us, they can find us at our social media handle, which is at Break the Bell Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find links to all that at our website, which is breakthebellpod.com. Check it out, share, like, subscribe, do all the things we tell you to do so we can be as prominent as the WEF. I don't want to be that.
We'll have our own Davos.
Yes, we're gonna have our own Davos next year this time. So we need to have our own big party.
We do
big party of nobodies to at the same time as Davos too. We're gonna have like the competition to Davos, and it's going to be so much smaller and so much more awesome though. Make sure you check us out, share, like, subscribe. Like I said, be back here next week, same time, same channel, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for another fun-filled episode where you can learn all the fun stuff that we want to just vomit all over you. Otherwise, we've got our morning show Tuesdays and Thursdays when we feel like it, which is the Two Scoops morning show. It's at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's with me and Dan Smots of the System is Down podcast. Otherwise, we got the weekend wrap up. We got a lot of shows. Check out all our shows. Check out all our shit. Just check it out and share it. That's all we ask of you. We will catch you. You got anything else? Any final thoughts?
No, I think we didn't get into the Tony Blair thing with the vaccine thing, but there's so much. There's so much.
Tony Blair wants to track your vaccine status. That's about where that comes. That's Tony Blair showed up, and I'm like, why is Tony Blair there? And he's like, we need to track your vaccine status globally. And I'm like, okay, that's why Tony Blair is there. So
there you go. There's Tony Blair.
In a nutshell, yes. We covered Tony Blair. Are we allowed to get out of here?
Yeah, I think so.
Have a great rest of your week. Go do something more beneficial than the Davos.
Yes. Just pick up a piece of trash off the grass.
That's it.
That'll work. That'll do it.
That's it. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.